So I started eventually taking this tablet. It took a long time for me to just be like, you know what, just take it. It's going to help you. I would go and open the packet and go to put it in my mouth, then put it back, because I was scared. Like, I didn't really know what this medication was going to do to me. Like, what if it doesn't help? What if I'm not going to be okay? So I started taking it, and straight away my palpitations were slower, not as frequent, not as often. And now this medication also helped with anxiety, but it wasn't anxiety medication. It was just a beta blocker, which focuses mainly on your heart. And I began to form a really good relationship with my cardiologist. So the poor bloke, if he was on holidays, I would call him when I would have an episode, and I'd be like, look, something's wrong. Like, I don't know why this is happening. I'm on medication. Why is my heart rate still going really fast? And it wasn't until December, or about November, December last year, that it was becoming extremely bad. So I couldn't drive on this road. I couldn't go to the toilet. I couldn't stand up. I couldn't live without my heart rate going crazy. And so my husband was away for work at the time, and I remember getting up from the lounge and going to the toilet. And most of this time too, I would also keep Aaliyah home from school, because school drop-offs were bringing an episode on. Picking her up was bringing an episode on. Anything that I did in my life was killing me, I thought. You know, like, I thought there was something really, truly, deeply wrong. So, yeah, Drew was at work, and I said, look, I've just gotten up off the lounge to go to the toilet, and my heart just went crazy. Like, it just started beating so fast, I can't bring it down. I don't know what to do. Like, I think you have to come home. And the funny thing is, this whole time I knew I was fine. My cardiologist has told me many times I'm fine. My GP has told me I'm fine, but I just couldn't get that in my head that I was fine, and this is all going to pass and I'm going to be fine. So I begged him to come home, and I called my auntie, and I was like, look, I've just gotten up off the lounge, and I've had an episode, and I don't know how to stop it. So she comes over and looks after the kids, just so I could have some time in my bed, like alone maybe, because she knew as well, I guess, that most of this time it was just anxiety. And although I do have a heart condition, I was medicated for it, so I was fine. So I was like, I think I should go to hospital. She's like, no, you're fine. Like, I mean, if you want to go, you can go. But I knew in my head, I'm going to go, they're going to do the same test, and then they're going to let me go. Happened about 5 times, because I admitted myself 5 times with the fear of that I was going to die. So she calmed me down, I guess, and then it went. Drew came home, and that was it. I was bedridden for about a week, I think. I feared for my life well and truly. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't look after my kids. I was an emotional mess. And then I had to go see my cardiologist, because it was ruining my life. Like, it was just a joke now. And he's like, look, I've heard back from your GP, and you do suffer from a severe anxiety. And it was then when I was like, oh, like, thank you. Like, it took so long for me to hear those words out of a doctor's mouth that I felt truly comfortable to believe him that I was okay. And even like talking about it now, I get palpitations, because it's like, I can't believe how broken I was and how far I've come, and how hard it was for me to truly live my life. Like, I couldn't live. I wasn't living. I was a big ball of mess, not knowing what the next day would bring. I would fear the next day. And so I thanked him so much for finally listening to me and believing in me, that I wasn't just some crazy girl always coming in looking for reassurance. He knew I needed that reassurance, and he knew I needed to figure out what was wrong with me, even though that it was nothing. It was just anxiety, and I let it get to me for too long that I could have went to the doctor sooner. I could have said, hey, I have these kind of symptoms, but instead I feared the worst, and it broke me to the point that I thought I was going to have a heart attack and die. So when I went to my GP, she said, yeah, you have severe anxiety. I think it's time we medicate you before we put you onto a psychologist, as I don't think you're in the right headspace right now to be able to take advice from someone, which I totally agreed with. I was barely listening to myself or my husband. Like, how am I going to listen to some stranger I've never met? So I started a medication, and it was the worst 2 weeks of my life. I was always hungry. I couldn't fight this hunger, but I knew it was just a side effect of this tablet. I would feel nauseous, then I'd feel hungry, but I just kept looking into the future thinking, this little tablet, I may have to be on it for the rest of my life, but it is going to help my life so much. And so it was a rough month, I think it was, for that to truly settle down and start to work in my system. So I would regularly check up with my cardiologist, and he would ask how I'm feeling. Many times I would go into that appointment just crying my eyes out because I was so overwhelmed with these feelings that I thought it was meant to be something worse wrong with me, even though I knew it wasn't. I knew it was anxiety this whole time. I just didn't think it would ruin my life so bad. Like, when you hear anxiety, you don't really think or know how bad it is until you truly suffer from it, and it ruins your life completely. So life started to turn back to normal, and it's not until now, what's that? December, January, February, March. So it's only been 3 months. Ooh. I thought I'd been medicated for longer, but maybe I haven't. Maybe nearly 4 months. It must be going into 4 months now I've been medicated. But I'm slowly starting to see a change, and my GP also booked me a psychologist, but I went to her a few times, and she told me I suffer from severe anxiety and severe panic attacks and so on and so on. But I'm the kind of person that I suck at commitment. Like, knowing it's good for me, yeah, I totally agree, but having to find someone to babysit the kids is such a huge task for me, because I hate asking for help. So I stopped going after about 3 sessions because I didn't want to feel like a burden. Like, I didn't want to, like, I want my mental health to get better, but I didn't want to have to keep asking for people to look after my kids when it was sometimes just too hard. So once again, as a mum, you put your kids first, and I stopped going. But I learned many things in those 3 sessions about myself, and about anxiety, and about how anxiety affects your blood pressure, and then it affects your adrenaline, which affects your blood pressure, which then affects your heart, which then affects your eyes. You know, like, there's so much that anxiety can affect that you don't realize until you can't eat, and you're like, why can't I eat? I should be fine. But it's anxiety taking that your essential abilities away from you, because it's just eating at you so bad. So I've stopped going, and I guess sometimes I do regret it, but I don't know, I guess you just learn to deal with it. Like, you've dealt with it for 6 years. Now I'm medicated, and I see my GP regularly and my cardiologist. I feel like I'm okay with that for now. I'm okay. I've asked these people to help me, and that's enough for me right now. That's as much as I could ask for help. And even though it was tough asking for help, 2 people is enough for me. And one day when I do, or if I do need that extra help, then I will branch out and ask my GP to find me more help. But I feel now I have that reassurance that I needed for the last 6 years, that was all it took for me to realize every time, if I had an episode without being medicated, it was just anxiety, and I just had to breathe through it, even though that is the worst thing you want to hear when you're struggling really bad, is to just breathe, because in that moment you literally feel like you're dying. So now I'm medicated, my anxiety is a lot better. So when I was, after I had Aaliyah and before I had Aaliyah, I would go to the gym all the time. And of course I stopped going because I thought I was dying. Like my heart would go crazy and I thought I was dying. So I stopped working out. I stopped going for walks. I stopped going to the shops. I stopped seeing people. I did a lot of things because this anxiety was just taking over my whole entire life. And it's not until now, 6 years later, that this is the first week. So March the 29th until now, the 1st of April, I have gone for a walk every single day. And although it's hard to get myself out the house, and it's hard to tell myself that you'll be fine, it's just a walk, you used to do it all the time, you know your anxiety is going to tell you can't do it, I've done it like every day for the last 4 days, whatever. But still, it's a massive leap for me. And then also working in a gym was another huge leap for me. I didn't step foot in a gym for 6 years, and then I got a job in a gym, and I thought, shit, this is the only way it's gonna break my anxiety and start returning things back to normal as much as I can. And even though some days I still can't go to the shops, or I have to keep Aaliyah home from school, I still get up that day and I still become a parent. But doesn't mean I don't struggle with it, even though I am medicated now. But I still have my days that it's really, really, really hard. But if I look back 6 years ago, I couldn't do that. I couldn't go for a walk. I couldn't get up every day. I couldn't go to the shops. I couldn't do simple tasks that were really simple. Like my mind really just overtook my whole entire body and just ruined me. So please note, I do work very, very closely with my GP and cardiologist, so I wouldn't do anything that they didn't tell me I couldn't do. I'm medicated through them, not through what I feel like I need or what I feel like I should do. I listen to their advice, and although the two most biggest confidence boosters for me during these dark times, especially the last 4 months, if you did follow me, you would have seen I was going through a really dark patch, and it was really hard to get through. But even if no one's listening, just posting something about it and getting it off your chest was a huge confidence booster, because you would get one person message you saying, hey, that was me too, or hey, I feel exactly the same. And in that moment, you would get that reassurance you were chasing, and you were like, oh shit, it is just anxiety, or I am normal, and I've let this demon ruin my whole life thinking I wasn't normal, and I'm the only one who suffers with this, and I'm gonna die. So I highly suggest, if you are struggling with anxiety, you don't even have to post about it on social media. Write it in a book, or talk to yourself in a room, you know, like do anything to get it off your chest. And it's helped so much. It's built my confidence to know I'm not in this alone, and there is other people out there that feel exactly like you, or are going through the exact same thing as you. And it doesn't make you a shit person. It doesn't make you a bad mum. It's just the way of life, and it's your path that you've been given to go down. And if you get through it on the other side, then that's great. And if you struggle getting through it, then that's also fine. Like, you're going to get through it, and it's going to be okay, even in the moment if it doesn't feel okay. And if you hate hearing the words, you're okay. Because I got so sick of it when I didn't think I was okay. But my inbox is always open. If you feel like you're going through a silly symptom, or you feel that you're alone, then just know I more than likely have gone through the same thing as well, and I totally know how you're feeling. So I think the biggest thing is knowing you're not alone with anxiety. So that's why I share so much about it, or I share openly about how I'm struggling to parent or how shit I feel that day, because so many others feel the same way too. So just know if you are having a shit day, then my inbox is always open. And if you've watched this for this long now, then thank you, and hopefully I can help someone as well, because it's the worst feeling like you're battling this demon that is just taking over your whole life and is telling you there's something so much worse wrong than just anxiety. So just know that you're not alone, and if you ever need to reach out, then definitely reach out, because it will, yeah, definitely save your life, I guess, because even though it doesn't kill you, the demons inside your head can ruin you deeply. So